Hi and welcome to another video. In this video I wanted a continuation of the unboxing video I did on the Asus RT-AC86U Wi-Fi 5 router. So I've bought this mainly for the AiMesh technology for connecting to making a Wi-Fi mesh network. So then I can connect it to my main router, which is the Asus GT-AX11000, and that's a Wi-Fi 6 router. So I'm going to go through quickly. I'll do this in two parts. So the first part I'll use you setting up the router using your mobile phone, or if you're a tablet, so I use the Asus app, and then I will then go on to how to set it up if you're using a computer or using a browser such as Chrome or Safari or Firefox. So as you can see on the screen here, we've got, as soon as you open up the Asus router app, you've got setup and manage. So if you've got an existing router, you can, as you can see here, it's already identified on my Wi-Fi network that I've got one there to manage, but also you've got setup. So as this is a new router, you need to set up a new network. So you click on setup, and then it will ask you what kind of device or which router type you have. So of course mine was on the top, so I set it up. Now it will ask you to open your settings, so that's in your Google or Android, and then your iPhone and or tablet, and then it will ask you to open up the wireless settings, search for your Asus Wi-Fi network and connect to it. You'll have all the details for the what's the name of your Wi-Fi network and your password on the back of the router. So now I'm just going to quickly connect to the Wi-Fi on the new router, and we'll then follow on. So you can now see I've gone into my settings on my phone and I've selected the 5G Asus 40, and that's the name of the Wi-Fi router, the Wi-Fi name and or the SSID of this router. So I'm going to use the 5G connection as it's faster. And now you go back to the app. It should now start to search for the Asus router now to detect what router it is and the details of setting it up. So the Asus router app has now identified the RT-AC86U router. So normally when you click on get started, it will then identify the kind of a connection you have to your internet service provider, but in this particular case I'm going to use the advanced settings. So all these screens will be particularly the same, it's just the first one will be a bit different because you'll manually select the type of connection you've got. So as you can see here, you have the WHCP, so that's if you've got a modem already, and you're just going to get an IP from the modem. Most of the UK internet service providers are PPPoE, so that's where you can type in your username and password. For internet service provider, a static IP, and the other two are different kind of VPN connections. So you've got here PPPoE, normally particularly for BT, that's one of the biggest internet service providers in the UK. Their particular details are generic, so it would be just BT Home Hub at btinternet.com, and then your password will be BT. So there's no specific details for most ISPs. They're mostly generic. So in this case I'm going to select DHCP, and then you'll see that there is a special requirement. So if your ISP does require any special requirements, you can click on here and you can see a list of them actually come up for different countries, and when you can do a manual setting. In my particular case I don't need to enter any special requirements. So moving on, now you can create a Wi-Fi network and personalize your Wi-Fi network name, your SSID and password. So in my particular case, I always prefer to separate the 2.4 GHz and the 5 GHz frequencies, because slower devices normally do go onto the 2.4 GHz frequency, but also I prefer just to manually choose where they go on to. If you are happy with the router making the choice for you, and it is sometimes just easy to set it up, then you can leave it as it is. So in my case I'll just select here, and on here I can just put on there the name of the network, and then it's normally well, if I can spell right, it would help. And then just so I normally put in the name just to identify that this is the 2.4, and then you'll come down here, type in your password. So of course don't use anything easy, and it will tell you here. And then you see here it automatically puts on 5G after the name of there, so we can just take that off, and you can identify test network 5G as well. So then once you're finished, you can then go to next. It does give you a password strength here, and you click on the little I and it will show you the password you've typed in. So now is also a good option for security, is always making sure you change your router's admin username and password. It normally does have a default of admin, or the details are on the back of your router, but I would put something, make sure not use admin or anything like, or your name. It's best to use something that won't identify and makes it more harder for people to work out what the username could be. So in this one we'll just make it up, and then again you need to use a secure password, not like this, and you have to enter it again. So you can click on here to see if your password don't match and the reason why. So you can see there that I didn't spell it right, so we just go back. So it just makes it easier if you can see, and it's done, and then you click apply. So now it's actually going to apply all those settings, so your new username and password that you've just inputted, and also your personalized Wi-Fi name and your secure password for your Wi-Fi network. So this will take a few minutes. It will disconnect from the Wi-Fi network, and then once them settings are there, you will probably have to go back to your settings and your phone and connect to the network again that you've selected, because you changed the name and the password, and then enter your password details. So you can now see that the network has been created. So it's actually saying here for your system setup. So it's saying here, number one, open your mobile device wireless settings, find your new SSID or your new network name, and it actually even says there test network 2.4. And then after connecting to the new SSID successfully, return to the Asus router app and then enter your password. So it's got your details here as well, so it's quite good. It customizes it, reminds you of your password. Again, please don't use password 123 because it's not secure. But this is just this example. So now we will then go on to connect to the router. So you can see in the settings now I've added connected to the new network we've set up, the test network 5G using my password, and then we will now have to go back to the Asus router app. So now you can see the network optimization, so it's optimizing the network and continuing the system setup. Now we've connected back to the new network, so it's doing everything it does, and we'll just allow this to go through. This will do the diagnostics and connection. Even though I don't have an Ethernet cable plugged in the back, it will still go through. So you can see there your network is operating perfectly, and it will give you all your details. So it's good. Perhaps take a screenshot if you don't want to forget these details. And it says there your network is operating perfectly, and you've got the Wi-Fi name and your Wi-Fi password for both the 2.4 and the 5 GHz frequencies, and your admin username and password. And you just click finish, and you'll see now it's connected. You will have some terms, conditions and privacy policy. You can just either hit agree. So now what has popped up is enable remote connection. So as you can see here, enabling the remote connection will modify some of your router's settings. So what the first one it will enable was DDNS, dynamic DNS. So what that means is it turns your internet IP address into something easy to remember. So it'll turn your numbered IP address of example 86.34.24.3 into Asus router.myrouter.com, or whichever service you choose. Next will be enabling access from the WAN, so that will be able to access from the internet. It does sometimes be advisable that having your actual access to your router from the WAN is not really the best security, but you have to have that enabled to enable this access of the router app. And then also open up the HTTPS protocol for data transfer. So that's another really good thing, is that it does it by secure encryption, just like your bank. It uses HTTPS. And then so to enable that, you have to accept, or if you don't want to enable any of these and you don't want to use the app to remote connect, you can decline. Again, you have more terms and conditions here about the services they offer through the Trend Micro and the AI Cloud and AI Disk, and all the details here. So finally, it's now applying the settings to the router, and they'll say remote connection and enable remote connection successful. Okay, and now you'll see some real-time traffic information, and then as usual, this is the breakdown of the router Asus router app that we've gone through in previous videos that I'll link to in the top right hand corner that you can go through. But again, this will then show you the devices that are connected, the family parental controls, and the settings of the router, where you can then go into to switch these things on and off. Again, we've done this in previous videos, so I won't cover this bit of details, but this was just a quick video just to run through the setup of using the Asus router app that you will be able to find in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store as well. So we'll move on to now is another way of setting up the router using your browser. So using the Safari, Firefox, or Google Chrome. So now moving on to using your browser to set up the Wi-Fi router. So this is most of the cases you'll be using a tablet or your computer. So using Google Chrome, Firefox, or Safari as a browser. What you'll first have to do is go into your settings of your device and go in there and connect manually to the Wi-Fi router's network that will be named on the back sticker of your router. And then as you can see here, I've connected manually. Now I'll have to go over to the browser. So now within the browser, you'll have to type in the actual IP address or the URL for the router to set it up. So this can be either be placed normally on the back of the router. So in this particular one for the Asus RT-AC86U will be either 192.168.1.1, or as it says on the back of there, it mentions that you can actually also type in http://router.asus.com. So in this case, I'm just going to type the IP address in of 192.168.1.1 and hit go. So as you can see here, it actually brings up the same kind of setup screen we had within the in the app. So you've got to create a new network or advanced settings, and as you can see, if we create a new network, you've got here, so it says please plug in the cable to your WAN port, and then the system will automatically detect your ISPs, so your internet service providers, and how you connect, if it's via modem or it's via PPP, OE, or any other specific there. So this is quite good because it will automatically do it. So if we just go to here, I don't have an Ethernet cable connected, but normally you'd plug it in and it would identify it. If you do have any issues with it identifying your internet, then just like me, I would go to manual settings at the bottom, and then now it would move you on to, it says, does your internet connection require a username and password? and you can click yes or no. So if you do have one, you can click next on here for yes, and then it will take you across, and then it will ask you, do you have any special requirements like on the app, if you have anything there for your ISP, and then what type of connection you can select here on here. So if we go to PPPoE, so now it's got to this screen. So now you, as we said before, you enter your username that's been provided by your internet service provider. So in my case, this would be BT Home Hub, and then it'll be at BT Internet, and then these details are generic, and then it will be BT, and then you click next. So again, here as within the app, it will ask you now to set up the wireless network, and again you can have it either like this, or you can separate the networks as we said before. And you says there copy, you have another function here is copy the 2.4 gigahertz settings to the 5. So it's saying about the name, so we can call this again, just call it test network, and you'll see it automatically adds 5G, and then the passwords will be the same if you leave it as well. So we can just do password. As you can see here, it does allow you to choose to see the password to make sure that what you've typed in, but also one thing it doesn't do, like on the app does give you an idea of a password strength and how good your password, and of course this one is a terrible password, but this is just for an example. Then you just click apply. So after entering your details, again here is asking for changing your details for your username and password that you use to log into your router. So here you can just use the standard test details I use. Of course you use something more secure, and then once that's done you can click next. It will start to have a look at and apply the settings, as you can see here, and now it says the internet connection settings is finished. So it will give you a summary of everything there. Your step 1, they've changed the network, so now your 2.4 and your 5 gigahertz got different names, and I've set it as it has the same passwords, but of course you can change it to different passwords for each network, or you can choose not to separate the networks and just have one user ID, one SSID, or your Wi-Fi network name, and one password. And again it says step 2, once the new network Wi-Fi name or SSID is connected, go back to the router.asus.com for more advanced settings. So again, now it's just applying the settings. You may find that it will disconnect you from the your Wi-Fi network because you were connected before to your the default Wi-Fi name. So now we will need to look for the test network and actually connect using our secure password. In my case it's not secure. So as you can see now, I've manually connected within my Wi-Fi settings of my device to the new network name I've set up and the password. And as you see now, you have the actual login screen of your router, and all I did is retype in router.asus.com / and then it went there. Or you can just do the same as you did before, the 192.168.1.1, and that will connect to the same screen. And then we just enter our details that we set up before. And you sign in, and now it's given you the new actual this time instead of using the app, you've gone straight into the advanced menu within the firmware of the Asus router, and it will start going through the details about new features like this one, including the AiMesh. It's always a good idea to, first thing to do when you do log in is go straight to administration and system, and just double check to make sure the settings are correct for your time zone and everything else. and then when you finish that, the next thing I would recommend is go to your firmware, click check, and make sure you're on the latest firmware. So now you've set it all up and you can log out, you have all your details, and in a future video we'll go into the advanced features of this router, as the previous video I've done was of the GT-AX11000 that had some was a bit of a different layout, so I'll do a video of this, of the advanced features going through here. Okay, so I hope you found this video helpful on setting up the Asus RT-86U router. Again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll try and answer them as quick as possible. Thanks very much for watching and have a great day.